So I don't want to dampen the mood or anything, but I do have okay, let's call it concerns about the national shutdown that is currently being organized. First of all, is 3 weeks going to be enough time to reach out to the right people, to communicate the purpose clearly, and build enough momentum for it to have a tangible effect? Organizing something of this scale is not just about putting a date on a calendar, right? It's more about coordination, alignment, and making sure that the message is clear and actionable. You're going to need buy in from different sectors, from workers to students to small business owners, so that the pause is not like a symbolic thing, but actually noticeable in the economy. That's the challenge when the timeline is so tight, right? 3 weeks is enough to create energy, but not necessarily enough to mobilize a truly representative portion of the population, especially considering exams, work schedules, and other personal commitments people might have. Like, don't get me wrong, the timing would be perfect if even 10,000 people could be mobilized around the country to make some sort of dent in the economy. But shutdowns tend to need people who really want change to truly commit. Participation scale is very critical. For a shutdown to capture both local and global attention, a significant portion of the population and economy must visibly pause operations. In South Africa, this might involve urban transport, schools, universities, government offices, major retailers, industrial hubs, and media outlets. While total national participation is rarely feasible, mobilizing at least 10 or 100,000 workers, students, and service providers, especially in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, and Durban, maybe in 10,000 bits and pieces, maybe in each area, that could create a noticeable economic and media impact. For businesses, even voluntary closures or symbolic slowdowns can amplify the message without entirely crippling people's livelihoods. So, are there any specific solutions that the country is proposing, or is it just shutting down to complain about inflation, corruption, governance? Because I'm very curious, because we tend to focus on the problem as South Africans and less on the solutions. So, what anti corruption measures are we thinking? Do we want a specific independent investigative body to oversee inflation discourse? Since I'm guessing there's little trust in government appointed officials, right? What sort of policy transparency measures are we looking for? The clarity of the ask is what is going to determine people can rally around it, or if it ends up being a general unfocused protest. So, are there any political parties that are willing to help with media visibility networks or organizational resources, or is it entirely just like a handful of people organizing the whole thing through TikTok? Is there a WhatsApp group maybe where everyone is connecting and making plans? I'm not asking you to share it with me publicly if you don't want to, but thinking about channels that reach people is pretty critical at this moment. Most South Africans are more reachable through messaging apps than TikTok alone. So, coalitions of civil society organizations, unions, student groups, and NGOs tend to be more broadly credible, emphasizing unity across political and ethnic lines. So, in practice, hybrid approaches where civil society leads, but political parties provide logistical support without dominating the message, often tend to work best. And you know what? Just one final thought. I feel like it'd be useful for everyone to share a specific message each day for the next 3 weeks, whether it's on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, YouTube, or wherever else, to start building that momentum. Start making plans to give your employer a heads up that something is happening in 3 weeks and you won't be available during that period, as a sign of either solidarity or protest. Up to you. This can also help engage commitment and prepare workplaces for the disruption. There's nothing worse than organizing something of this scale only to have crickets on the actual day. So, leading up to the event, there should be a visible atmosphere, not just within our own echo chambers, but even from people you may have never seen on your timeline before. So, that cumulative visibility is what turns the local action into something visible for the nation to notice. I say all of this in support of the national shutdown. I would love to see it actually become successful. I don't want this to feel like I'm cooling everything off. Actually, on the contrary, anyone hearing this who has checked everything off their checklist should be fired up right now. And if they haven't been checked off yet, there is still time to get things sorted. I do hope that I can help wherever I can. But otherwise, I do wish everyone nothing but the best for this movement. Like organizing something like this is about discipline and clarity and creating momentum. And if it's executed as thoughtfully as I hope it will, it can genuinely make people pause, reflect, and hold systems accountable.